Michael, normally we're doing a hurling show together. We'll do a bit of football.
Nice little Hawaiian background as well.
Yeah, looking well now. So Cork Tyrone is one of the Super 8 matches going ahead this weekend. You've seen a lot of Tyrone recently.
Yeah.
Are you impressed with what you're seeing?
Yeah, I'm impressed enough. They've kind of reverted back to type, really. The Donegal came obviously upset, whatever attacking style they were trying to play or whatever kind of kicking style they were trying to play. So they've gone back to the running game. It suits them. From talking to even Colin Kavanagh and Matty Donnelly after, there seems to be a kind of an idea that this will get us so far, but there is an acknowledgement that they need to do something different maybe when they play the Dubs.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they do get that far, do they play something different. But the counter-attacking style, nobody really plays it better than they do. The pace that they play at, they did what they had to do last weekend against Roscommon and probably no more. It's going to be an interesting test this weekend. Cork, I was really impressed with Cork, I have to say, against Dublin. It was the most enjoyable maybe 50 to 55 minutes of football I've seen in a while. And they're going to bring something a little different, probably something to the Super 8s that maybe we didn't expect.
And Cork, in a sense, are Cork back in the sense that they found players, so they're back to what they should be, or did they have the players all along and just for whatever reason confidence was in their boots?
Yeah, they've the same personnel really, isn't it, to be fair. Brian Hurley looks a different player this year. He's obviously had terrible injury trouble. He tore the hamstring off the bone twice, which would finish many a normal man. You just love watching him in attack. The dummy solo on the right and the point on the left was brilliant. Even Mark Collins as well. Rory Dean has been very, very good, kind of playing as a playmaker. I think by all accounts they seem to sit down after the league or halfway during the league and make a decision, even amongst the players and management, that the style they were playing or maybe the defensive style didn't suit them.
Isn't that interesting actually, because both Cork and Tyrone midstream have decided we're going to go back to a style that has traditionally suited us.
You kind of do revert to type a lot of the time, don't you? In life and in sport, really, when the pressure comes on, you probably want to do what you're most comfortable with. So Cork have always been a footballing team, and they've gone back to playing football now. And I thought they were brilliant, particularly in the first 20 minutes the other day. The patience, the runners off the ball, the quick hands. Like, people give out hand passing. The way they were hand passing the other day, I'd never give out about it. It was so quick. It wasn't laborious or slow or anything like that. It was really quick, really efficient, and always trying to work someone into a scoring chance.
If you took Jack McCaffrey out of the situation, they were really able to manage an awful lot of what Dublin had, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, and managing Jack McCaffrey has been trouble, not just for Cork, it's been trouble for a lot of teams. He was the one player that was making things happen for Dublin, and it is very hard. Like, how do you stop him? You're going to have someone on him firstly that can match him physically and match him speed-wise, and how many half forwards in Ireland can match him speed-wise? Not too many. So, like, only for him breaking lines and making chances maybe that other lads weren't able to, Dublin would have been in trouble to some extent, and he was continually able to do it, which was the thing. And then the floodgates opened and other lads started to get a bit of form, and Dean Rock came on and maybe finished them off. It was definitely a really, really encouraging the guts of an hour for Cork.
And Dermo Connolly back, so
I don't think we thought at this stage. Like, I thought when he went to Boston, you're thinking that's it.
Yeah.
And he comes back from Boston. It's really, really interesting that they've taken him back at this stage.
Well, because he's a wrongly filled out ESTA visa form from being in Boston, and the last time that he played in the championship was coming on the final against Mayo 2 years ago at half time, when it seemed at the time incredible not to start because of the quality that he has. Turned the game, and a wrongly filled out visa form could be the reason that Dublin win the 5 in a row, which is just kind of outrageous. Imagine in any other sport in the world being told that this could be the circumstance that leads to history.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Lisa won Little Miss Springfield.
Oh, very similar.
And Homer filled out the form incorrectly. But it's mad, like, he's coming back in mid-July, and I had to say, like, I thought it was comedy gold how Jim just dropped it back in, James McCarthy's back playing, Merch, Dylan Connolly's back training with
the Dublin GA social media.
And it didn't actually have anything in the tweet. It didn't say anything about Dermo Connolly. It was just Jim Gavin reacts. So I thought that was brilliant as well. But Gavin will be judged whether they win the All Ireland. Gavin will be judged whether it was the right or the wrong decision. I don't know if that's fair, but at least he has taken out any possibility of Dublin didn't win because Connolly wasn't there, and it shows a lot of humility on his part. Like, I don't know if many managers would have taken a player back mid-July, particularly when he clearly wanted to be away. Do you know what I mean?
Well, during the Leinster final, so Dublin were playing Meath, and on the same weekend, if you follow Dermo Connolly on Instagram, as many thousands do, he was over in Rome. So he was over in Rome enjoying himself while that was going on. So I at that stage said, well, everyone stop asking Jim Gavin about this. It's clearly done.
No one could have predicted he'd be back at this stage. Like, it's 6 weeks. Will he feature? Like, you'd have to think he has lost inter-county conditioning. Like, It's different type of conditioning.
Yeah.
What would be his role? If his role is to make sure there's more competition for places at training and make training games better, then he probably will. Will he feature at some stage? He probably will. It'll probably be after the hour mark if he does feature.
What was his last start in championship? Was that Carlow game before which he got?
I think that was the last start, yeah.
So we're talking over 2 years.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
It's very hard to ask him to come in there and all of a sudden change things mid-flow. So just back to Cork and Tyrone as well before we move on to Dublin Roscommon and the inevitable win that will be. Tyrone are probably one of the best teams to set up and draw you into their blanket and dispossess you. Cork are one of those teams that have really good dynamic runners. You talked about Brian Hurley, that's closer to goal. Rory Dean comes to mind as well. So they do have those players that can run at you. So what way do you see this panning out?
Yeah, Cork had quite a bit of space, even though Dublin played a sweeper the other day. They still had quite a bit of space to work with. They're not going to have any space.
Yeah.
They're not going to have any space on Saturday night. And I just think, as much as I like the way they're playing and how much of a breath of fresh air is it, I just think they'll probably be suffocated when push comes to shove. It could take a while for them to be suffocated, but I think, towards that hour kind of mark, I'd say Tyrone, it'll be tight and Tyrone might just put on the afterburners and push away. They're just not going to be afforded the same space as they were. Mad to say, they won't be afforded the same space they were against Dublin. I don't see them putting up anything like a 117. It'd be more like a 14-15 or 114-115.
You mentioned Brian Hurley earlier, and he is great to watch. His brother Michael Hurley came in against Laois, just a real ball of energy and pace as well. I wonder would someone like that be looked at? Stephen Sherlock's been brought in a bit. They have a lot of, even Paul Currigan, another runner as well, and he got a lot of flack after the Munster final for giving up the chase on one of the Kerry defenders. He's another good runner as well. I think Cork could push him quite close.
I hope it's close. Yeah. I wouldn't be that surprised if it was close. I just think down the clutch, Tyrone will have a bit more. Wouldn't be surprised yet to see Michael Hurley, huge pace. They're going to need players that are going to be able to break the line. He mightn't be necessarily the person that breaks the line. He could be someone could break the line and he could be the next person to try and break the second line, if you know what I mean. But they're going to need to be really, really economical in their scoring chances. Like maybe from the 20 minutes to half time against Dublin, they just were a bit askew with a couple of shots maybe that would have had them that bit more competitive even at half time. Might have only been 2 or 3 in it. They're going to have to maximise their scoring chances. I do expect it to be tight, but I think Tyrone will just pull away down the home straight.
Can you make any case for Roscommon getting a win against Dublin?
Getting a win? No, not really. The fact that they were so much more competitive against Tyrone a year on after being beaten double scores in Croke Park.
Competitive without ever looking like they were going to win the game as it wore on.
Yeah, they had a couple of goal chances and even they hit the crossbar at the end, I think, when they launched a couple of balls into the edge of the square. Conor Cox was kind of kept under wraps by Ronan McNamee. They're going to need a good bit more from him. I thought he was unfairly kind of criticised on the Sunday game last Sunday for a couple of pot shots he'd taken. He's taken a couple of pot shots throughout the year. It's just the difference is they've gone over. To have a go at a guy for taking a shot on, I think is a bit mad. They'll be looking to if they get within 7 or 8 of Dublin, I'd say they'll be happy. And the big thing is they don't look like they're going to concede 3 or 4 goals like they did last year. Like they were ripped open at different stages last year. So being competitive as opposed to what they were last year is probably the main goal out of Super 8s.
Yeah. So just to move on to Mayo against Meath. Mayo, there was just a period there midway through the first half where I think Kerry outscored Mayo by something like 11 points to 1 as well, and the game was completely taken away from them. Do you think it's a case that Mayo all of a sudden have played too many games in too short a space of time and they're running out of petrol?
Possibly. It's a funny one. They wouldn't have obviously liked to be beaten last weekend, and no team sets out to be beaten, and they definitely wouldn't set out to be beaten what they were, because it affects their score difference. But if they win the last 2 games, if they can beat Meath by 5 or 6 and win their last game, they have a great chance of getting through still. So, and if they can get over the game at the weekend against Meath, then they have 2 weeks, which you'd hope would have some more bodies back. I think Paddy Durkin is missing this weekend as well with a quad injury, and they'd be hoping he'd be back for the big crunch tie against Donegal. Yeah,
there'd been talk of maybe Matthew Ruan and Dermot O'Connor coming back by the tail end of the Super 8s, but remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's a litany of injuries now at this stage, isn't it? Really, it's hard for it to stack up. James Horan couldn't have planned for that amount of injuries. But he's unearthed a few new players as a result of that too.
But isn't that funny too? People are thinking, all right, it's coming against them, having to go the back road, older team, etc., etc., etc. Ruan's a young lad, Dermot O'Connor's a young lad, Paddy Durkin's a young lad. So it's not as if it's the older guys breaking down. If it was Keith Higgins, Andy Moore,
Yeah,
etc.,
true, yeah.
then you'd say, oh, fair enough, that's the reason. But maybe that's just not the reason.
I think
And
it's
maybe
funny. I always think it's funny when people say, like they'll say it about the Galway hurlers this year, oh, they're off early, they'll be fresh next year. So all these games shouldn't really matter if they're fresh. Apparently, that argument doesn't really stand up.
Yeah.
But it has been the younger lads breaking down. Andy Moore maybe mightn't start this weekend. I expect to start the last game. I do expect them to beat Meath. If they can get a 5 or 6 point win, it leaves them with a serious chance of taking a win in the last game and still getting through.
Yeah, because like for a spell, Meath weren't too bad against Donegal.
No, they were
good.
good,
It was
yeah.
a decent performance.
Yeah.
Saw them against Clare the week before. And it obviously is a totally different level, Clare versus playing in the Super 8s as well. But do you think that Meath have any hope of bringing a surprise here?
They have a hope, I'd say, yeah.
But a realistic chance. I mean,
No.
you're not going to put your money on.
No, I wouldn't be putting my money on it. No.
Very reliant on Mickey Newman as well. For scores.
Yeah. To be fair, like I think it was 1-12 apiece maybe after, and the guts of an hour the other day, and they only kicked a point in the last maybe 15 minutes. So to be winning those games, you have to be putting up a 2-14, 2-15, or you have to be getting 17 to 18 scores. Whether they can get that now at this stage, I don't know. This is the game they'll be targeting for a shock, though. This is the game. This is the game they'll be targeting for a result. A Mayo team that are down in the dumps, like they're not going to be beaten. They're not going to be beating Kerry. I would think. I don't think they will be anyway. And particularly if Kerry can get a result this weekend, they'll see Mayo as vulnerable. Being competitive or getting a shock result is a result for me out of Super 8. So this weekend will tell a lot. But I couldn't see them winning. I'd say Mayo by 5 or 6, I'd say.
Donegal against Kerry, along with probably Cork Tyrone, is the plum looking tie of the weekend as well. And what were apparently the second best team in the country, Donegal, who didn't really blow everyone away with their Meath performance, against Kerry, who blew everyone away with their Mayo performance as well. Paddy McGrath's apparently an injury doubt. Owen Gallagher has apparently suffered a serious enough injury, and as we're talking, the details aren't ultimately clear at the moment. That's a huge blow when you consider the inside line that Kerry have, or the forward line overall.
Definitely, yeah, and I suppose when you put the two forward lines together, you think Donegal have a serious forward line, Kerry have a serious forward line. There's probably question marks over the two of them at the back. Paddy McGrath has been rock solid corner back. Owen Bond is just a flying machine up and down the wing.
And someone who might be able to keep into Stephen O'Brien. I mean, it's hard to know what way the matchups would go. But
He's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
I saw him against Galway in the league. Even in the league final, he was one of their better players. He's been consistently really good.
Yeah.
For such a he's a real kind of dynamic, small, he's a small, compact kind of a player, but he's been brilliant all year. But if those two guys are out, it does maybe shift it a small bit. But from Kerry, you have to ask, the question marks of Kerry are like one performance, like one swallow definitely doesn't make a summer with them. We thought throughout the league that this was the second coming or whatever, and we're going to see this great team and all these young players developing. Then we saw a bad performance in the league final, an average performance against Clare, an average again performance against Cork. So they're going to have to back it up, and they're not backing it up against the Meath this weekend. They're backing it up against one of the best teams in the country.
But can we now look back on Kerry's performance against Cork in light of how Cork played against Dublin and say maybe that wasn't too bad to hold off this Cork team, because they're coming back to a place where they're a strong team again?
Yeah, and kind of horse race in terms of the form of Munster worked out well, and I don't think anybody thought it would work out that well. But yeah, they still conceded three goals. How many goal scoring opportunities did Cork get against? They got a couple against Dublin the other day, and Cork could have really went to town on them the other day. So it'll be interesting to see. Everyone is quick to laud, and I'm a big admirer of Donny Buckley and the work that he's done with Mayo, and people are saying now he's the key difference with Kerry after one game. So it'll be interesting to see. This is a big test for them to beat Mayo and to beat Donegal in consecutive weeks will be huge for Kerry.
And when you think about the two rival forward lines here, on one side you have Paul Ganey, you have David Clifford, obviously, Stephen O'Brien on form, Sean O'Shea. The other side you have Michael Murphy, Paddy McBrearty, who else?
Oisin Gallen, Jamie Brennan, yeah.
It's a clash of two unbelievable forward lines, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
They're even up there, and if you go player for player, maybe not the system and game style they have, but player for player, Donegal and Kerry are up there with Dublin.
Oh, they are 100%. Yeah, they're particularly Donegal in a way. Like if you were to say who would Dublin take of their rivals, definitely take Michael Murphy, Paddy McBrearty, probably take Jamie Brennan, they'd probably take Owen Bond. There's a couple. They'd probably take Ryan McHugh. There's a couple, and like Dublin obviously take Clifford. Would they take Ganey? O'Donoghue? Not so sure.
Well, Paul Ganey's form isn't where it was, so maybe he can get back to that top form, whereby you would say, Dublin would like someone to that level. Yeah,
it's going to be interesting because, like David Clifford, I think I've watched that point that he got from near the sideline on loop now at this stage.
Yeah,
like, it's just, he's just so unnatural, and it's not even that. It's not even the scores he kicks. It's just the danger that he creates every time he gets the ball, and the aura of excitement that he creates when he gets the ball. And like, has there ever been a player who has, like, with all the expectation that was on his shoulders, who has like totally blown all expectation out of the water? Who would have said? Everyone said, "Oh, take your time with Clifford. Give him a chance. Give him a chance." Who would have said he's going to blow expectation out of the water and be actually better than we thought he could be? Because he's just phenomenal.
Can O'Callaghan do that sort of straight away, hit the ground running, and now Clifford is possibly, even in terms of like the immediate impact, surpassed him?
Possibly. Con was coming from 21s now, to be fair,
Yeah.
whereas Clifford was coming as basically an 18/19-year-old. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He has the physical attributes. He's everything you want in a football. He's tall. He's strong. He's quick. He's got the poise on the ball. He's got an unbelievable eye for goal. He's a team player. He'll always give the ball to the best man in the best position. It's just an absolute joy to watch. And they, like, how Kerry prosper or get on will depend a lot on him and how they get him into games and how he performs in games.
Is James O'Donoghue, do you think we've seen his best performances and he's not going to get back to that 2014 level?
Yeah, it's kind of harsh to say. I know he was written off the other night as gone as an inter-county player, which is very tough. I think he's had 2 major shoulder reconstructions.
Yeah.
He's still that dangerous player. It's good to see. He's obviously going well in training, or they wouldn't be playing him, and they have loads of other options. I wouldn't give up on him just yet. He's too classy. He's too classy to give up on, to be honest with you. Hopefully he's able to find that bit of form by consistently playing him. Hopefully he will find that form. You'd imagine maybe Peter Keane is saying to him, "We're going to play. We're going to give you those chances, and maybe we know that you're going to deliver for us in the wind-up."
Because he's so dynamic when he's on form. Would you think Neil McGee would be on David Clifford trying to get stuck into him? To be honest, if the ball gets into Clifford's hand, it doesn't matter who it is really. You're in serious trouble.
You have to deny him the ball. That's the thing. You have to go ball-headed to try and get that hand in. McGee is probably the man. I'd love to have a camera or a microphone or something down there to see the carry on there, but it's going to be very, very interesting. Right. Yeah. Everyone would have always said when Clifford burst on the scene, how would he get on with, you know, Philly McMahon or someone like that who's going to be really intense. So he's got on pretty well with all those type of players. McGee will be another level now. It'll be interesting to see, but Clifford is still going to kick 2 or 3 scores from play. You just know that. But yeah, a very, very tight game. I probably still would lean towards Donegal, being honest with you. I think Donegal, even with the injuries, I think Donegal might just have a little more. Kerry, I'm still doubting Thomas and Kerry because I haven't seen them back it up. If I see them back it up, then you'd say, yeah, they're serious contenders. But Donegal, for me, are kind of more likely contenders to Dublin at the moment.